It's funny how some people do
You're
not
back
change.
online. You're on the fastest route. You should
And
reach your destination by 10:01 a.m.
I suppose once you're a tattletale, you're always a tattletale. Now, I don't need to engage conversations with people who, well, let me rephrase that. I do enjoy engaging in conversations that are productive. I do enjoy ending conversations that are not. And I also enjoy
Take your next right onto South Harmony Hill Road.
talking points and bringing forth topics of discussion to the table and encouraging a conversation and a dialogue and an exchange of ideas and a sharing of information with an open mind. However, I will not waste my time, nor
Turn
will
right
I
onto South
entertain
Harmony Hill Road.
anyone who idolizes hate and who wants to justify Gestapo type tactics towards American citizens who are non-combatants. It's not a war theater on a home soil. People are protesting, exercising their First Amendment right, free speech. And I think that nowadays there's no sense in wasting time trying to convince someone of something that's so obvious, because the more time that's spent trying to do that, the less time is focused on trying to do something productive, because there's certain individuals who are determined to somehow justify and rationalize a demeanor simply because it's existing and it's existed in the past. Now, war has shaped humanity. It has shaped our species. It has affected our evolution. And we are very much trapped in the confines of where that culminated in. And it culminated into what we have now, the machines that we have, we drive, we use, all evolved out of a wartime necessity, and gradually, during free market capitalism, became what they are now, that we use. And the way that human beings behave during wartime is not natural, and it's not normal, and it's not how our society should conduct itself.
Take your next right onto Harmony
Now,
Road.
if given a command to, I'm just going to use an example, to shoot your weapon, or let's say, I guess in the proper terminology, engage in fire. If you're going to, let's say you're a machine gunner, if your assignment is to keep the helicopter that you're a machine gunner in, say you're machine gunning out of a helicopter, right? You're flying over a rainforest, and the order and the command, your understanding, is to make sure that nobody shoots down the helicopter, and that if there's hostile fire coming from underneath the helicopter as you fly high above or low above the earth, jungle below you, your job is to ensure that you shoot at that so that it does not continually shoot back at you and penetrate the armor in the helicopter or you. And that means you would continually shooting to save your life as well as the crew and the pilot and everyone else in that helicopter, even if human shields were involved, even if the people below you who were shooting machine guns at you happened to be disguised as just ordinary villagers, and in so doing, the rounds are not only killing the people who are shooting machine guns at you, but also their children. And sadly, that happens during war all the time, and that order, while horrible, it's a lawful command, because now the captain of that helicopter, in order to fly on through and sustain itself and the lives of its crew, would have to order the machine gunner to maintain steady fire below. And now a lot of people who've had to, this is just an example, obey such orders. Some of them would have easily just jumped out the helicopter or abandoned ship, or deserted, if you will, knowing what they were about to do. However, when it really comes down to it, you are now thinking of yourself as the unit and as a team, and the best soldier is one that has blind obedience and that doesn't think for themselves and that can obey a command like that under duress. However, when you knowingly sign up to do something like that, that's quite something else. And when you knowingly sign up to embark on a mission that's going to involve taking the lives of not just adults who are combatants, but their children as well, you had best be able to learn to live with it and deal with it. However, if your job or quote-unquote assignment is to maintain the peace and order while folks are protesting on your own soil in your own country without weapons, without arms, and doing so in a way where they're trying to, for lack of a better description, maneuver their vehicle in a forward type U-turn, so as to avoid being surrounded by a patrol of officers, armed officers,
At the next
on
stop,
foot.
turn left. At the
And
stop
if
sign,
you are
turn
about
left
where
onto New
that
York 292 south.
stop sign is right here, and the person's in the vehicle, say you're a little closer, say where that green sign is, and the person is in the vehicle now is trying to flee the scene and not
At the next light, turn
obey
right.
your command, if it were. What lawful order is there really, other than to attempt to detain the vehicle? There is no justification or authorization, even if that vehicle starts lunging
At the
towards
light, turn right onto New York 311 south.
an individual who's armed, who's ordering the person to stop. It's very easy to sidestep and just kind of walk in the opposite direction, and if deemed necessary, a few rounds could have easily gone into the tires, penetrated the tires, the radiator, and sent a clear message. Even a warning shot into the dashboard would have not only sent a clear message to the individual driving the car, it would basically make it loud and clear that an order is being given to stay where you are, to not flee, and that it's a clear indication that the individual firing the firearm feels threatened and endangered for their safety, and it couldn't be any more appropriate to handle a situation like that. Should you really feel the need to use the firearm, the pistol in this case it was. I mean, it's not an M16 or AK-47 with something with a stronger weight to it that could have disabled the vehicle. But the point being that not only would the individual operating the vehicle get a firm warning message that's non-lethal, but the vehicle itself would most likely be triggered in such a way as to enact an airbag, or to be stunned in some capacity, allowing the officer to reach inside the vehicle and try to apprehend the suspect. Now, if you are afraid of a soccer mom like the woman Renee who was shot in the face, if you're afraid of a soccer mom like that running you over, then you probably shouldn't have been on that assignment. And that's what happens when you're taking someone who may or may not be with PTSD, having been a combat veteran for 10 years, and putting them in a situation where they were trained to just react, shoot to stop, shoot to kill, enemy combatant, someone's trying to run me over. This was, I believe, Minneapolis, where this happened, this tragedy. This poor woman was shot in the face because she's yelling out her window, and the ICE agents apparently found that offensive and surrounded the vehicle, but they didn't really surround. They weren't they're very close. They were at least, it looked like 25, 50 feet away, especially the one in the front of the vehicle, and there was no really immediate threat that someone was going to, and you know, having been in a situation where I had to flee vehicles that were intentionally driven at me to run me over, and accidentally driven at me at a high rate of speed. I don't know. I've probably lost count how many times that's happened to me. I know it's really not that hard to dodge a car, especially if you're about 25 feet away. And if stopping the car is the objective, there are other ways to go about doing it other than shooting the person who's driving it. And it's not necessarily going to stop the car either way. If you shoot the car or the person, it might not necessarily happen depending how much momentum there is and how fast the car is going. But regardless, it really boils down to how close the officer was to the vehicle, which was not close enough to warrant them feeling that their life was in imminent danger and they had to shoot this person in the face. That was handled inappropriately, and those are the kind of snap kind of things, just like the tussle with the other protesters on the ground. Those are the kind of snap decisions and things that happen when people have guns. And a gun will suddenly make a coward brave, and someone who would ordinarily be cautious not really think things through. And that's why guns in our society are regulated, and the people who are assigned to such types of patrols and who've enlisted to do these types of jobs need to be better screened and kept oftentimes on the battlefield exclusively, because they're not the police, they're not the social worker, they're not the negotiator or the crowd control expert or what have you in such scenario. And to surround people who are trying to work really hard and provide for their family, coming here to work and saying that, well, you got no papers, has just made more of a burden on our culture, and made it a more difficult place to live and survive nowadays in America than ever before. There's nothing great has happened from this whatsoever that I can see. I don't see any bonus check. I don't see any stimulus check. I don't see anything other than the rich billionaire, mega billionaires becoming wealthier, and the people who have their own businesses and their six-figure salaries holding on for dear life to their position, status quo, and not really having anything to complain about whatsoever, because little has changed
At the next
for
light,
such
turn left.
individuals, whereas the majority of people are struggling to be able to afford their next bill, basically. And our entire economy, all the wealth in America, just about all of it, that the government reels in through taxes. Okay, and again, I was never really like a finance whiz or aficionado, but I
At the
think
light,
even a
turn
third
left onto
grader,
Smadbeck Avenue.
or maybe a fifth grader, could understand the concept of federal government taxing and just how much taxes are taken out
Go
of
past
everyone's
Barron Road and
paycheck,
turn right onto Nelson Court.
who works, and the proportion, how disproportionate it is versus
Turn
the
right
amount of
onto Nelson
taxes that
Court.
are taken
Then
out
you will
of
arrive at your
the
destination.
mega billionaire's paycheck. And any kid could see how insane it is, how as a country, in order for us to be the United States and be free, we spend 3 times more on our military than any other country around the world combined, including Russia and China. 3 times more than both of those countries on our military alone. And if we didn't, we'd be fucked. And we need to figure out a better way just to evolve as a species than this.
You have arrived.